Good evening and welcome. Tonight, we will continue our read through of this magazine, The Atlas of the Ancient World. What I do for this magazine is not read anything beforehand, so we discover it together. I've only read the titles. Also, you guys really like the paintbrush, painting all of the pictures, so we'll continue that, of course. I enjoy it too. Also, my cats are in my recording room. They might be chaotic. They might just pass out. I don't know. So this is all a fun little project, isn't it? We really don't know what's going to happen in this video. But let's see. Ancient India. There's Egypt. We did last. Empires of the East is next. Move a little closer. There we go. Starting with, I guess here, the Indus Valley. Empires of the East, the Indus Valley. It says Indian civilization began around 2500 BCE along the Indus River Valley. Seen here is a Buddhist monastery in the valley's upper reaches. There, the Harappan people prospered on trade through the Arabian Sea. Like other vital river valleys, the Indus region was subject to seasonal flooding that could be catastrophic. The city of Mohenjo-daro had to be rebuilt at least 9 times. Ruinous floods may have contributed to the decline of Harappan civilization around 2000 BCE. Let's look at this monastery. Very pretty. With these huge mountains behind it. Absolutely gorgeous. This little Buddhist community here. The bright green trees down here. Lovely. It says left behind Mohenjo-daro. The two major cities of the Indus Valley civilization, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, about 400 miles apart, look as if they emerged full-blown. Their stratified layers show no evidence for their beginnings and development. The Indus people left only a scant written record, mostly undeciphered, as well as a few artifacts, such as the Confident Dancing Girl. This is my favorite artifact from Mohenjo-daro, besides the Priest King. He's really cool too, but I love Dancing Girl. Just who lived in these cities and how they organized their society remains an enigma. Mohenjo-daro's orderly ruins, located in what is now the Sindh province of Pakistan, were first visited by archaeologists in 1911. A masterwork of town planning, Mohenjo-daro had crisscrossing streets laid out on a grid. Urban engineering provided it with indoor wells and baths and an elaborate public sanitation system. However, the city shows little evidence of an aristocracy. No royal tombs, palaces, or temples. The Indus people seems to have been organized, clean, and possibly rather democratic. Here's what Mohenjo-daro looks like today. All these neat ruins here. Neat in the fact that they're awesome, and neat in the fact that they're orderly, right? It's a very well organized city. Like, way more technically advanced than what was happening in Europe at the time, even. Yeah, it's one of those places that we don't know 100% sure why it was abandoned, but it was probably multiple reasons. I think the one that makes the most sense is the Indus River changed its flow, and, you gotta have that river nearby in any ancient civilization, especially if they had those sanitation networks, right? So let's look at the map in the caption here. It says Indus cities. The 1,980-mile-long Indus River is fed by snowmelt from mountains to the north. Its broad floodplain allows for irrigation, which hastened the development of a well-organized society fed by agricultural surpluses. More than 100 settlements sprang up throughout the valley, notably the cities of Harappa to the north and Mohenjo-daro in the central valley. Although geographically partially protected, the inhabitants, although geography partially protected the inhabitants from outsiders, invaders eventually found their way in through mountain passes. Centuries passed before northwest India recovered from their attacks. Let's see this little tiny map here. So pre-Harappan early farming settlements are brown squares. So you can see there. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Over here, and all throughout this valley. The cat is on my light. Okay, thank you, kitten. There's so many. Even down here, there's a bunch. And they have little names. Right, those are the brown squares. Those are the next ones. Okay, these are the brown squares, and they don't really have names. The dots do. The dots are major cities of Harappan civilization. And they are like all by the river and all down here. So there's Rangpur, Lothal, Sukortada, Kotada, Desalpur, Aladino, Balakot, Sotkako, Sadkagandor, Chanudaro. Great names. I don't know if they still called this today. There's Harappa. They're probably all ruins now, but I imagine there's major cities nearby. Do they have similar names? I don't know. And then all this brown that I'm painting is the Harappan heartland between 2500 and 1800 BCE. You can see the Indus River right there, flowing through. There goes my cat. All right. She is leaving, question mark? Oh, she's going to go sit in her little bed. Okay, excellent. Excellent. But yeah, you really just think, because Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are so famous, don't really think about any other civilizations. There's Mohenjo-daro right there. But there are so many different towns all throughout. So many. I've never heard of them. I only know Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. That's really interesting. I wonder if they were, I guess, similarly organized, because it's the same culture. Makes sense, doesn't it? I wonder. I've never heard of all these places. But next we have the Mauryan Empire. In the 6th century BCE, northern India was a patchwork of several kingdoms jostling for control of the Ganges Valley, with its fertile lands and river trade routes. These states and more were forged into an empire called the Magadha, later expanding under the brilliant young Chandragupta Maurya. For several decades, beginning in 321 BCE, Chandragupta steadily took over northern and central India, creating one of the largest empires in history. And here he is, Emperor Chandragupta Maurya. Really beautifully painted. I love the colors. I wonder if this is on a wall or something. It looks like kind of like stone. I'm not sure. Here's this guy next to him, whispering in his ear. But he has a neat mustache, very neat eyebrows, long hair. Chandragupta Maurya. It says Mauryas and Guptas. The Mauryan dynasty came to dominate an area from the borders of Persia and the Himalayas south, almost to the tip of the subcontinent. Peaceable Emperor Ashoka administered the extensive nation, and during his reign, excellent roads were built connecting key trading and political centers. The later Gupta Empire, inaugurated in the 4th century CE, controlled the north and east, including some key harbors from the capital at Pataliputra on the Ganges until brought down by Hun invaders. Let's look at the map here. Starting off with this tannish brown color, it says the Mauryans under Chandragupta circa 295 BCE. So all of this was part of Chandragupta's empire. Throughout. Pretty big, of course, ending along the Himalayas, because you can't really go any farther than that. All past the mouths of the Ganges there, today Bangladesh. And around this river looks like the Narmada and the Mahanadi rivers. Along the coast of the Arabian Sea, there's the Indus River. Then up through here, in what's now Pakistan, because there's Kandahar right there. And almost up toward Bactria and Sogdiana. Along the Hindu Kush Range. Alright, Maurya's under Ashoka circa 260 BCE. So Ashoka expanded way out here along the coast, and then way farther south. Hopefully you can see all this. Okay, good. Much farther south. And around here, and of course up around the Himalayas. Much larger. Of course, building his pillars and such all throughout, spreading Buddhism. The Guptas under Samudragupta, circa 370 CE, is dark green. There's also a light green, so I have to be careful. So let's see, the dark green is a bit smaller over here. Around here, but then reaching down south along the coastal areas, the Eastern Ghats, up by the mouths of the Ganges, around, I guess, reclaiming this area here, past the Himalayas, and a little bit farther north, through the Hindu Kush Mountains. So the light green are additions to the Gupta Empire by Chandragupta II, circa 410 CE. So that looks like it's this area here, was added on at that time, around there. This area here. Southern campaign of Samudragupta, circa 360 CE. These blue arrows. The southern campaign. So it looks like here's Pataliputra, the capital of the Mauryan Empire, going down along the coast and then turning up toward Kalinga there. Interesting. And what's the other one? The route of the Han attack, circa 505 to 511 CE, is purple. So the Huns are attacking. Which way is this arrow going? This one's going this way. So there's Texila, which we're actually going to talk about in History Magazine next week, actually. That's funny. Going this way towards Srinagar, looks like, and then down through Nikala and Sakala, I believe, Kurukshetra, Indraprastha, and down toward, let's say there's a line through it. It looks like Iran, Irikina, and then up to the the Gupta capital of Prayaga, right there, by Kosambi. The Huns attacking as they went. Interesting. There's the Ajanta caves they noted. I wonder if that's where this picture's from. I think those are mostly Buddhist artwork, though. I believe. Alright, let's see what's next. And we're going to talk more about Ashoka. Excellent. And I think that's the last page. Oh no, there's one more. Oh, we'll talk about the Ajanta caves there. Excellent. Cool. I don't think there's any more maps, though. No, just pictures, but that's cool, too. The birth of Buddhism. Founded by Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, in about the 6th century BCE, Buddhism soon spread across India and much of Asia. Hailing from modern-day Nepal, Siddhartha introduced the concept of peace through inner discipline. India's Dhammik Stupa, shown here, marks the spot where he first spoke to his disciples. As the years went on, Buddhist monks in increasing numbers began fanning out across the Great Silk Road. By the 2nd century BCE, Buddhism had reached China and Indonesia. By the 6th century CE, it had spread as far as the islands of Japan. During this time, the religion split into 3 main movements. Theravadins emphasized the brotherhood of Buddhist monks. Around the 1st century CE, the Mahayana stream of Buddhism surfaced. It focused on the existence of souls known as bodhisattvas, who postpone enlightenment in order to help others. Tantric Buddhism developed around the 6th century or even earlier, adding supernatural deities who could be summoned for help during rituals. So this is Dhammik Stupa in India, it said. The place where the Buddha first spoke to his disciples. That's so fascinating. You can see all this brick here. The little stupas there. One big one here. Very neat. Lots of neat hedges as well, and plants. Let's read about Emperor Ashoka. Pretty cool guy in history. One of the more remarkable religious conversions in history is that of the Emperor Ashoka, grandson of Mauryan dynasty founder Chandragupta Maurya. Having apparently killed some of his brothers, rival claimants to the throne, Ashoka became emperor in 268 BCE. Around 260, he led a military campaign to conquer the kingdom of Kalinga, site of valuable trade routes. The battles affected him profoundly. According to Ashoka's own writings, he was deeply pained by the killing, dying, and deportation that take place when an unconquered country is conquered. As a result, Ashoka renounced conquest and other forms of violence, including cruelty to animals. He became a patron of Buddhism, supporting the spread of the doctrine through India while urging tolerance toward all sects. His edicts exhorting the citizens to generosity, justice, and mercy are still visible on stones and pillars around the country. So I wonder, let me look back at the map. Is that why it showed this here? Southern campaign of... No, this was Samudragupta. Maybe I'll talk about this one later because it went through Kalinga there. Right, let's look back at Emperor Ashoka. Looking very stylish in this fancy hat. Very bright yellow. His face here. Nice earrings. Very stylized outfit. This looks like it was done with like marker. I'm sure this is an old painting, but it looks very recent. I don't know, maybe it is recent. It looks like it was done with pencil and marker. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it looks a lot more modern than ancient, that's all I'm saying. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know who drew that. It doesn't say. Alright, let's read about the Gupta Empire. It says, founded by Chandragupta, no relation to Chandragupta Maurya, in 320 CE, the Gupta dynasty lasted into the 6th century. It was a time of cultural creativity. Sculptures, such as that of Vishnu, that we'll look at over there, from that golden age, set the style for later Indian art. The Sanskrit language was used in ceremonies and literature. Gupta rulers returned to Hinduism and presided over the construction of ornate temples, such as Dashavatar Temple in Deoghar, which is down here. I love this like red stone that they used in these Hindu temples at the time. You can see a cool scene happening down here. Lots of little figures in this big reclining one here. Is it a sandstone? I don't know what type of stone it is, or is it just like brick that's just really old and has been worn down by time? I don't know, but it's such this vibrant color that they used in Hindu temples at that time. I'm sure it was much more vibrant back then. Let's look at, was it Vishnu over here? Now it's not a great photo because the sun's hitting it just so that his head's all covered in shade. That's unfortunate, but we can, it looks like he's eating this woman. Everyone down here is like, what the? He's eating a woman. He's got like a big snake. You can't really tell what's happening because the sun is hitting only this part of the statue, his torso here and legs. But it is really neat. It's carved into rock, so that's pretty fascinating. They've got like his six-pack and everything detailed. There's lots of little people all around. Admiring Vishnu there. Let's read about the Ajanta caves. Here we go. Carved into the volcanic cliff faces of the Waghurna River Valley in western India are 29 artistic treasures of the Gupta era, the Ajanta caves. Beginning about 200 BCE, they were occupied for some 850 years by Buddhist monks and artisans who filled them with painted and sculpted depictions of the Buddha. Yeah, it's all Buddhist stuff. That's what I thought. The supple dancing forms show Buddha in a variety of incarnations, including as an elephant. By 475 BCE, the art began to show signs of cultural influence. Some murals are thought to depict foreign merchants, while others showcase clothing from far-flung lands. As Buddhism gave way to Hinduism in India, the caves were abandoned. They were largely ignored until a British colonial officer rediscovered them while tiger hunting. He couldn't resist leaving his mark, writing John Smith, April 1819, in pencil on the walls. Way to go, John. In 1983, these caves were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They're not the best picture, but you can see these beautiful pillars. It's really tiny pictures, you can't really see, but they're very beautiful. And these high arches up here makes you feel like you're in like a church or something. Looks like pipes and a pipe organ. And this big statue here, I assume depicting Buddha in there somewhere. I can't really tell because the picture's so small. Maybe telling a story along the walls here, I don't know. And not the best picture of the Ajanta caves. They're absolutely beautiful inside, and it's just that little picture. It looks like we're going to China next. Yep. So look forward to that next time. This made me really sleepy. I don't know about you guys. I got really tired. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this style of content, please consider subscribing. And yeah, looks like we'll read about China next. That's exciting. I hope you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good